Hi, Barr Specialty Tools in McCall, Idaho. This sharpening video will be on a 4-inch Scorp. A little tricky animal to sharpen for a lot of people, but it's not nearly as hard as you'd think. You just need a few of the right tools. And what I'm going to use today is a cone diamond stone. This is from Diamond Machine Technologies. This is 600 grit. It'll set up our initial edge on the inside. And then I'm going to go to a blind file wrapped in an emery paper or emery cloth, 600. And after that, I'm going to use this. This is another buffing stick. It's very difficult to get a buffer into a Scorp. It can be done, but it's pretty dangerous. And so this works great. This is leather, heavy leather on here. You can see it's just a turned cylinder, and I've glued that on with barge cement and then tacked it on as well. And then I'll rub that green buffing compound on there. And we're going to use that to get our mirror polish. So the first step, the hardest part with the Scorp is really hanging on to it. You can't really get it in a vise and work on it. I'm going to put just a little bit of simple green and water on this cone. And then I'm going to take this Scorp, and you have to hold on to it, and you have some good pressure on it down. And I'm going to get inside, and I'm going to raise an edge on there. Now you don't want to go too steep on a Scorp. You want to keep it pretty darn flat, like 20 degrees. You can do circles, you can do just long strokes, but these things work great. They're really light. You can have your finger in there and you have a lot of control. I really like this product for this. And really with that 600 grit, which they call a fine, it really isn't all that fine. You know, fine is more like 4,000. But it really works well to set up your initial edge. Works great. I'm going to work that out. And then of course, on a Scorp, you're usually using that center section the most. But you want to get the sides as well, just so you don't get an irregular edge on there. Alright. Now, I'll carefully wipe that off. Okay, that's what we're looking for, is I've raised a burr up on this outside edge, and you should be able to feel that burr with your fingers all the way, and it'll just grab you a little bit. And that is what we're after, because that means we're down to the edge, we've met the other side, and we have good contact. Now the next thing I'll do is you can get some paper that's 800 up to 1,000 grit, and I'm going to just go back and forth this way. See, I'm not really pushing it back and forth. I'm going kind of parallel to the edge, because if I push too hard and I get too steep, it'll definitely rip that paper. And it takes a little time, but it really doesn't take that long. You can lay that back so it's almost all the way flat. Not too steep, like I said, because if you get a Scorp too steep and you get into your cut, it'll chatter. It won't want to take that nice clean cut out. It'll want to kind of bump along a little bit. So now we've got our edge set, and I don't think the camera will pick it up, but it might. You can just see that little burr on there along my finger. Okay, and that's what we want to bend back and forth. We need to get that off of there. So the next step will be this guy. And all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get the Scorp, you know, on the edge of the bench here, and I'm just going to go one way. I cannot push into it. Okay? The minute I push into it, I'm going to cut the leather right off of this thing. You'd be surprised how fast this will pull up that edge. It really works great. Because a Scorp, well, all tools want to be sharp, but a Scorp really needs to be sharp to give you that nice cut on your chair seat. You can see, I'll hold this up, and you can see we're starting to get that. We're already getting the mirror polish on there. It's coming up nicely, and we still have our burr on the back, and we're going to dress that next. Okay, here is my flat buffing stick, for lack of a better term. It's on some cedar closet lining. You could use oak, you could use a thicker material. I kind of like to have a little flex in it myself. I can feel things a little bit better with it. And I've glued that leather on there with barge cement. And that's all. You don't need any fasteners or anything. It really, barge cement works real well for this. And then I'm going to take my compound again. Now that you can get compounds from jeweler supply places, custom knife places, custom knife supply places. They make a lot of different products. You're going to want one with just a little bit of abrasive in it. But this is very, very, very fine. And will give you a mirror polish. So I'm going to get this guy all nice and loaded up with that compound. I'm going to do the same thing to the outside now. We're going to work on getting that burr bent over and gone. We want that burr off of there. And I'm once again just pulling it towards me, and I just saw a big kind of a spider webby piece of that burr just came off of there. See, it doesn't take all that much to get that off of there. See how that flexes a little bit? I have a little bit more control with it. And go right around. And you're not really removing material at this point. It's minimal. I mean, you're polishing it. And if you had a ding and you needed to, you can go over this on the outside with this flat stone and hone it first if you need to. Hopefully you don't have to do that. So that means you want to pull the edge from the inside to the outside. And then what we'll do is we'll flip it over one more time. We'll take our round buffing stick. We're going to go over that again. Just take your time. You don't want to go in there too fast, because if you bump it, it'll cut that leather. I guarantee it. And that should do it. That's a real hungry edge right there. It's grabbing my thumbnail. And that'll give you that nice cut on a chair seat. That's chip core, and that's really not what you're going to be cutting with it, but you can see how sharp that thing is. And that's how I hone a Scorp.